Hi everyone, and welcome back to another YouTube video. Today's YouTube video is going to be all about VeChain, VET, and I'm going to be going through the thesis of why I believe at least a 500% move plus is coming for VeChain, and we're going to go through a little bit of in-depth analysis on why we think that, how we think the move can transpire, and what to be watching on the lower time frames for VeChain, and what to be expecting as time goes on, as the market is approaching what I believe to be a very key moment in the market. Potential alt season looming for the next 3 months. So just preparations for that, and as we see rotation from Bitcoin to Ethereum, and from Ethereum to the rest of the market, just preparing with a couple of altcoins with charts looking like this. Of course, guys, if you are in my Patreon group, you will have seen that video that we did, 10 plus altcoins, another video coming with entry and exit plans, with different aspects of why and how the market moves and different techniques that I use. But we're going to keep it basic in this video, guys. It's a YouTube video, so we're going to look in depth now at VeChain. So to take a look at VeChain, what we need to do is we need to take a look at the move that preceded the major move back in 2021, and just take a look at the prior consolidation period here that happened just before we went on for that major run that took VeChain from around 1 cent all the way to 20 cent plus. So a nice 20x there. We're not talking about 20x here, we're talking about 4 or 5x, but yeah, still major percentages to be made here on VeChain, in my opinion, in the coming months as we prepare for a key moment in the market. So you can see, guys, the market has gone in for some kind of triple tap into this zone back in 2023 before we went on for a couple of rallies to the upside here. I'll draw out that triple tap right here. So we got our first major low there for VeChain. We came back, we deviated once, we tapped again, and then we went on to the upside in what seems to be a 5-wave move. This seems to be a very clear 5-wave move, in my opinion, where then we've gone through some kind of major corrective period here, with this being a potential A, B, C, whether we've ended here or whether we've got a little low to make there, or whether it's a W, X, Y. It doesn't really matter, guys, what we're calling it. We're calling it some kind of 3-wave move here. You can see this kind of wave here did not explicit the types of waves that you see in a nice 5-wave curvy move to the upside. That was pretty much straight up stop hunt, stop hunting the stops and the shorts coming in around 5 cent. So the stops in and around 5 cent there have been taken a couple of times. Look at that, 1 deviation, 2 deviations, and then we have to look at the consolidation move that preceded the move down, which at the minute for VeChain is around 4.5 cent. Very similar to this move down here before we rallied up, a very similar moment here before we crashed to the downside. So you can see, guys, we've not quite come back to wave 2, which is a good sign. If that's a nice big 3-wave correction, it could mean we are going for much higher levels. However, on the lower time frame, again back in 2024 to now, we've had another triple tap. There we go. We'll draw it out here. We'll get it to absolute perfection with this bottom wick. There we go. A perfect rally to the upside here, inducing a lot of longs. With very close to equal lows here on VeChain in October to August. So the market again came down for a triple tap. We got your first you've got your first tap there. You're just missing out there. Longs building up, stops below there. Hit once, hit twice, and the market is now forming some kind of contracting triangle. A lot of people will call it a triangle. I don't really like to use the word triangle because, you know, usually when you see triangles like this, you're going to take the upside, downside, and then go to the upside, or you'll take the downside, the upside, go for some kind of another 3-wave move, and then go. I'm not going to say it's taking that long, guys, but that's the type of wave structure that you usually see in triangular structures that present themselves very early in a move, because this is a very early triangle in a move. If we was to see a triangle, guys, that, let me just draw something out for you. If we was to see a triangle that was appearing at the top of a 3rd wave heading on into a 5th, then we might say, okay, there's a chance that is a triangular structure, and we are just going to break to the upside. But with it presenting so early here, guys, it makes me think, remove everything off the chart, it makes me think we could have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the lower time frame, which would suggest to me that we've got some kind of free wave move here. We're looking for some kind of free wave move back to the upside, take these liquidity voids on the chart, and potentially head back up to around 2, the upper regions of 2 to 3 cent there, and fill them 3 daily candles on the lower time frame before then potentially going in for a little dip, a nice expanding flat correction there in this range. Overall, it would be a nice simple flat correction in the overall scheme of things, and potentially just come back to that first area where we got a little bit of a deviation below the triple tap there. We've had many deviations, many taps into this wick, and you know, guys, that is the move there. Look at that indecision candle. If you've taken my course on CryptoRyan.com, you'll know exactly what I mean about the indecision candles presenting themselves just before manipulation, before rallies, and return to the means. So right now on VeChain, I think we're potentially looking at, we'll drop it down to the daily time frame so we'll get a real good idea of what is going on here. So we're potentially getting shorts and longs building up here on VeChain. I'll show you this as a nice fine example. There we go. We're potentially getting long stop losses building here as a potential breakout. We're potentially also getting short stop losses up here that think we're going to reject off this trend line and move back down. So there's likely liquidity either side of this, what everyone would call a triangle. So what I think we just need to be watching for, guys, on the lower time frame is indecision candle here on the daily time frame, a potential push up there for VeChain, push out of here, potential retest of that triangle that everyone will call there, and everyone will start to say that this is then the move, we're ready to go. Could just be a retrace before a potential rise in Bitcoin dominance to start October with a mini flash crash, nice flat correction, all of the liquidity wiped out. We know exactly how we would measure the where the liquidity is. We'll go through it right now. Liquidity likely resting at the negative Fibonacci, just taking this wick here in and around at the 2 cent region. So I think on the lower time frame, guys, for VeChain, if we're preparing a big move to the upside, I'd like to see people get excited, people get demoralized, and then we go for a nice big third wave to the upside. So I can see this move playing out for VeChain, and it makes sense. Look at all these wicks that it would come back to. It's a nice key area. A lot of liquidity building up on the lower time frame above and below this triangle. We're looking at key areas then for VeChain to be moving up to around 4 and a bit cent. The key area, the key breakdown level from January 2025. But you can see, guys, what a base we are building here for VeChain. It's a multi-year base, nearly 3.5, 4 years. I do believe we've got much higher levels to return to for VeChain, so I think that would simply be the first kind of curving move where we start to rampage on up and we look for a trend line manipulation above these levels. I'm looking for an overthrow in and around the 13 to 14 cent region before then, a nice sharp pullback. We've seen this example play out so many times on coins. Let me just show you an example. I think it's on HBAR's market cap. If it will load. Here we go. We'll just load up the HBAR market cap, guys. And it's almost akin to what we got here. You can see this is the exact kind of wave structure that we're looking at. Everyone expecting that triangle there on VeChain to potentially break to the upside. Maybe it breaks the high, breaks the low, then goes. And you can see exactly that trend line manipulation that we get above there. Nice little overthrow of the trend line. Of course, HBAR's market cap went on to break the all-time high and has gone in for a nice retest, potentially pushing back up to that line there for another rejection. So This could tie in, guys. If we're looking for a little small pump for VeChain on the lower time frame, maybe we also get a small pump on HBAR on the lower time frame to then get a sharp pullback to start them 3 monthly candles in October, November and December on a higher time frame. We know them 3 monthly candles are a big key factor in the cryptocurrency market. If you're not looking at the 3 month candles, what are you looking at in the crypto market? And potentially looking at a 3-wave pullback here on the crypto market cap for HBAR. Ties in really nicely with that kind of correction that we're looking for on VeChain. So we'll look at what kind of percentage that would be. That'd be a nice 30% correction on HBAR's market cap. So let's take it back to VeChain. Here we are. It's a nice different little chart that we've got here, but we'll remove everything. Very similar wave structure here, guys, that we're looking at. A potential spike to the upside, little dippity dip back into that key region there, before then the trend line overthrow on the higher time frame, where we're looking for that 14, 15, 16 cent. And from current levels, guys, if we get that, talking about 400, 500%, if you get that dippity dip, 30% dippity dip, then we're maybe talking about bigger percentages, 500, 600%. But a lot of people will be building up a leverage position here on a lot of altcoins, really, when it's potentially unnecessary, because I think there's one final little dippity dip, flat correction, running flat, expanding flat, whatever we want to call it, guys. I think there's one more spanner in the works before we really can get going with that alt season. We'll just take a look at Bitcoin dominance. If anyone is in the Patreon group, we go through this weekly. You know exactly what we're talking about here. But I thought I would make a little video update for YouTube. It's been a while, a specific video on VeChain with covering certain aspects of the market as well on Bitcoin dominance. If we're looking for that dippity dip, the triple tap retests on a couple of different altcoins, then maybe, just maybe, we get it back on Bitcoin dominance as well, which is where we potentially see them dips in the 3 monthly time frames on Bitcoin, Ethereum, rest of the market. Final long liquidation before we really can get moving to the big alt season that a lot of people don't expect, but I think is absolutely coming at the end of this cycle. I don't think it'll take that long, guys. I think we'll get short, sharp spike back to the upside, then really continue with a drop in dominance. Every single time before an alt season, what do we get? Short, sharp spikes in the dominance before a drop. Again, short, sharp spikes in the dominance before the major alt season can commence. And the targets for me will remain in and around the 43 to 44% for Bitcoin dominance. We're looking for a retrace on the lower time frame for a final long liquidation on a couple of alts. If you are interested, guys, and you appreciate the content, subscribe to my channel. Of course, we've got my Patreon, CryptoRyan17, where we do a weekly video, daily analysis in the chats, and also more analysis that we post with exit plans and how I play the market, different trade setups, different kind of things, more analysis like this, but a little bit more in depth as well, explaining how and why I do things, including Fibonacci work, trend line manipulation, all that kind of jazz. If you're interested in that, it's just CryptoRyan17 on Patreon. And if you want to take my course, very cheap course, just one-time purchase, just head over to www.cryptoryan.com and yeah, check it out. If you want to, you can. If not, absolutely no problem. Cheers again, guys. Of course, it's not financial advice. A little bit lower time frame analysis here on a couple of different charts. Hope it's useful for you. Sit back, relax, let the market do the work, and take it easy.